Hey everybody, welcome back. It is Miss Pack, your Community and Schools Site Coordinator. I'm so excited to be back and talking to you guys again. Today we're going to be talking about visual schedules. And they're exactly what you think they are. They're very simple to make. You can make them at your house. It's super easy. But the reason I love them so much is because it takes the conflict away between the parent and the child. So whenever you're at home, I'm sure this has never happened to you guys, but if you're at home and your student is like, I don't have time to do that. I thought I finished my math. It's all done. I don't know. I wasn't supposed to do that. When am I supposed to have time? And you're like, I've told you you have to do this. And it just kind of has that clash. So this is one way to organize your day so that you aren't the one responsible for your child's organization skills that day, and your child has something to look at and to keep their day kind of organized. We do this all the time at work. I have a planner of things that I have to do that day. So that's nothing different, but it's a life skill that your child probably does not have yet. So one, it's a really good life skill to learn, and two, it takes that conflict away because you're no longer in charge of your child's day. The schedule is. So you can always just be like, well, just go look at your schedule, honey, just see what it says to do next. Oh, you have some free time? That's awesome. The next thing you have is at 9 o'clock. You have free time until then. That's great. So it just kind of pushes the feedback back into your student, your child, and to the visual schedule. So let me give you an example of one. This is for older students. So this is like if they're going to be on Teams meetings right now, since we're on virtual and remote learning. But so like you would just set this up. It could be on a piece of paper. It could be on a little whiteboard like this is. But it just says visual schedule, and then it says like 8 to 8:45. That's when they're going to be having their breakfast. By 9 o'clock, they need to be logged in to have their first Teams meeting. So you can just kind of keep them on track. You can even just set an alarm. Say, hey, honey, why don't you set an alarm for 9? That's when you have to be online. Then they can see that at 10 to 11:45, that's their next 10 to 11:45 is like their science teams meeting. They're going to have a lunch break, so they know when that is coming up. So they're not always like, when's lunch? When's lunch? When do I get to eat? When do I get to eat? So it kind of gives you that like pause of like, okay, like it's coming up, so don't worry about it. Just go check the schedule. And then the reading, STEM, and then it shows another break. So they can be like, I don't want to do this all day. You can be like, well, honey, you have a break coming at 1:30, so it'll be okay. Teachers use this all the time in our day, so this is how our days are always set up, so it's very familiar for your child. I'm going to give you another example of something to do for the more little, so you see what that looks like. But before that, you can always set these up for those of you who work during the day and your child does their learning in the evening. So, like if you want to start it at 2 o'clock or 3 or whenever they would start their learning, you can do this and then include dinner and then the evening break and then bedtime routine. So it can look however you want it to look. But something I really like to do is so they're finishing their stuff, they've done it, yay, they've done really well, awesome. You are done with breakfast, that's great. So now what do you do next? Cool, all right. So then once they finish their team's meeting for math, you just say, that's really great job. And you can just mark them off so that, or have them mark it off. Because that makes you feel kind of in control and empowered, the student, and that they're accomplishing things. And maybe if they get everything marked off at the end of the day, then they get some really small reward, like getting to stay up 10 minutes later or getting more time on their social media for the evening or whatever it is for your family. So I'll be right back, and I'm going to show you what one would look like for a little. Be right back. All right, guys, so welcome back. I'm going to show you a visual schedule for our littles. So it is much simpler, and you can even simplify this just a little bit more, and I'll show you how. So this is kind of what that would maybe look like, and you see here that it doesn't have the words, it just has pictures. So you can draw a picture, which mine are not great, but you can also cut out pictures if that's better, or do like the art stuff on your computer or whatever makes sense for you guys. So their visual schedule could either have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like not have the time if you have a little like in kindergarten that can't tell time yet. Or if you have like a second grader who can tell time, then you can maybe use just the time. So whichever makes sense to you guys. So you would just say First thing, we're going to have breakfast. Then we're going to do math. Then we're going to do science. We're going to have lunch, and then we're going to do reading. So you just make that however makes sense to you. Mix it up however makes sense to you. If your teacher has an actual schedule for them that they want them to follow, you can use that as well. And then you can also use these on your days off, on the weekends, whenever you want to do things during the day, so your kiddo can see like what their day consists of. So you can say, honey, when we wake up, we're going to eat breakfast, and then we're going to go to the park. And instead of having math, you can just draw a picture of a park. So whatever makes sense, is these things are perfect for that. But again, this is really great to be like, oh my gosh, you did so good eating your breakfast. Great job. Go ahead and mark that off. And they can mark it off their list. Like, we only have 4 more things to do today. So what's the next thing? And they can look and say, hey, it's math. That's what I have to get out next. Awesome. Well, go ahead and get that out. When we get finished, you can mark it off. Then when they get finished, mark that off. And you can ask them, so then what's next? And the other thing that's really great about visual schedules is you can make these together. So you can say, okay, so we have these things to do. What order do you want to do them in? And we'll make your schedule for the day. I'm going to show you the last idea for a visual schedule that gives them a menu instead of an actual schedule. So that's 3 different options you have. For the older kids, it may not be really flexible because they may be having meetings with their teachers, so it may not work out quite the same. But for the littles, you definitely can probably do that. So I'll be right back, and I'm going to show you a menu before we're done for the day. See you in just a second. Alright guys, so the last thing I wanted to tell you about is a menu choice board. So this is something you can do for the littles or even bigger students if you want, if you have the flexibility of when they do things. So this is like my menu. So this is the options that they have. They have breakfast, math, read aloud. That's someone reading. I know it's the best I can do. This is reading a book. This is your science, lunch, free time, and exercise. That's someone jumping a rope. You got what you got. So anyway, so then what they do is they just look at their menu every day, and you say, what do you want to do first? They're like, okay, I want my free time first. Okay, that's fine, but you're not going to have it later. Are you sure you want your free time now? Okay. So you don't fight with what they want. All they have to do is do all these things during the day. That is their goal. And you can have a reward of like, you get to read an extra book tonight. I'll read an extra book tonight for bedtime. Or you get some outside recess time. Or you get to FaceTime a friend, or whatever it is for your family. It doesn't matter. But yeah, so they're like, okay, well, first I'm going to eat breakfast. Sorry, I dropped my pen. First, I'm going to eat breakfast. So then you're like, awesome. So then you mark that out. After they eat, say, now what do you want to do? I'm going to read a book first. You want to read it? Do you want to read it together? Or do you want to do a read aloud where you read it to me? I want to read it to you. Awesome. Go choose your book. So once they finish, tell them to mark it off. Them marking it off is a lot better than you marking it off because it gives them a sense of accomplishment. So mark that off. Now what do you want to do? Well, I'd really like to have some free time. Okay. So you don't argue with it. You just say, okay, 15 minutes, free time. That's awesome. And you put on here whatever makes sense to you. If you feel like your child needs 3 different free times, put as many as you want on there. Put as many squares as you want. It doesn't matter. Yeah, so just make it to fit whatever fits your schedule and what you guys need. And if you need any help, I'm always happy to make them for you. You just kind of let me know what you want on there. And I can just send them to you through an email or whatever you guys need. So always reach out if you need anything, and we will see you guys soon. Bye!